Here's Charlie Dickens, chapter 66, entitled Chips and Golf. Charlie could feel his stomach rumbling as they joined the long queue. He hadn't eaten much all day and he was famished. The rumbling in his stomach grew louder as the crowd grew smaller. At last they were served and they sat on a bench and tucked in. The chips were almost too hot to eat, but they couldn't help themselves, and Charlie kept dropping each chip as they were burning his fingers. "You're supposed to blow on them," his mum said. Eventually the chips cooled down and Charlie could eat them comfortably. He still had to have his wits about him as the hungry-looking seagulls were circling, and they were waiting to pounce. Unlike Charlie, they had no conscience. He couldn't help himself, and he threw a chip towards them, and he watched as they scrambled over them. "Don't encourage them, love," his mum said, "or they will follow us all the way home." Charlie wasn't sure if this was true, but he didn't want to risk it. I will have to do a lot of walking to shake off those chips," Mary said, and she patted her stomach contentedly. "I think we need a long walk," she said, rising up and surveying the cliffs in the distance. Charlie could see the chalky, winding path, and it looked like it was going on forever. Charlie had read about the Great Wall of China at school, and it reminded him of it. They followed the white, winding path, and after 20 minutes, Charlie was beginning to pant. He wasn't used to walking so far uphill. It was like an endurance test to him, but when he looked out at the beautiful balmy sea and the boats bobbing on the water like toys, he knew that it was worth the effort. He was surprised by the sight of a man hanging in the air as if by magic. "Wow, look at that," he said to his mum. "How does he stay up in the air?" he questioned. "He's a hang glider," his mum said, as he turned and twisted in the air with the grace of an acrobat and the power of an eagle. It made Charlie think of Spider-Man again, and he began to miss his comics, and he couldn't remember the last time that he had gone one day without reading one. They were his comfort blanket and his main source of joy and inspiration. He knew that Mary was hoping that he would grow out of them, but he couldn't imagine that ever happening. The sun was now blasting down, and they were both beginning to sweat. It was like they were under a microscope. "Let's head for the shade," said Mary, as she saw the trees in the distance, and Mary could feel her knees beginning to buckle like the legs of an old piano, and she dabbed her head with her soaked handkerchief, and then they set off again. Above them, the clear blue skies was turning wispy grey, and with the gathering clouds, a storm was coming. "Thank God we're here," said Mary, and she sat down on a fat old log to rest. Charlie's t-shirt was drenched with sweat, as if he'd just stepped out of the shower. He reached into his bag and he pulled out a bottle of water, and he drank it in one gulp. He was that thirsty. "Thanks, Charlie," Mary said. "It's a good job I'm not thirsty," she added. "Oh, sorry, Mum," he said. "I wasn't thinking," he added guiltily. It was at that moment that the sky cracked open.